Hey, this is Whole Health with a Truly Jacob, a writer. Again, we're going over wise words for little people. Again, what is whole health? Wise words are supposed to help give you whole health if you get a whole bunch of wise words. So, will this book actually help bring? Will these wise words for little people help little children have whole health in every single area of their life for the age of a child? And again, Truly Jacob, a writer, is my pen writing and media name, so you probably won't see my face. So let's get started. So this is video number 5. I might have messed up the order. In the last video, said the wrong number. Sorry about that. Sometimes I say the wrong things. So, yes, I'll do it, said the boy. I'll do it right away, but forgot what he had said, and he ran off to play. Have I ever told you about a boy named Jamie? I thought Jamie was a girl's name, but whatever. He had a forgetter in his head. He'd promise something and then forget about it. You could never believe him. His words didn't mean a thing. One day he promised to rake some leaves in the yard if his mother would let him play with his friends first, but she said no. I don't believe you. You have a hard time keeping your promises. So Jamie had to stay home to rake leaves. After that, Jamie learned to do what he promised. Now his mother believes him. She is happy, and he is happy too. Remember always to keep your promises. So, it sounds like they're going over the whole thing of telling your parents misinformation to get out of doing chores or lying, or it's like maybe there is someone like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And they've said so many things of what they're going to do that they never do any of them, right? What did Jamie's mother want him to do? Rake leaves. Okay. Why wouldn't his mother let him play with his friends? Because in the past, he promised to do too many things and never kept his promise. Can you think of something you said? Can you think of something you said you would do, but then didn't do? Well, what comes up is, in the past, I went to a Christian 2-year Bible college in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And this one teacher was in charge of the study of Daniel and Revelation. And when we were going over Daniel, he had a bunch of different Bible studies and stuff like that. And he had like, here's a question and not any reference to Bible verses. I don't think, or maybe there was one, I don't remember. But I didn't understand what it had to do with the study of studying Daniel and relating it to Revelation or doing some kind of comparison. It seemed like something was off about that piece of paper for homework in class. And so I did a bunch of them. And then he's like, you're not going to pass the class if you don't do more. But I really had a hard time doing it because it seemed more like it was like, here, a better idea that came into my head for homework was, okay, read this chapter over and over and over again in Daniel. And what do you get out of this chapter? What do you get out of these other verses? Can you figure out how to relate some of these other verses in Daniel 11 or whatever chapter goes over prophetic stuff, to other concepts in Revelation. What ideas do you get? I may declare to you that you are wrong, but you will get points for participation and being clever. But he had these weird questions, and I couldn't bring myself to do it for some reason. And then it was like, when did I stop? Well, I came to this one question, and I didn't think about trying to do another question later down the list because I was just like, let's do them in a row. But the question that I came to was, okay, is Michael the archangel like the Lord or God too? Okay. So they were putting like a Jehovah's Witness question at the Seventh-day Adventist 2-year Bible college. And so instinctively, for some reason, like, I cannot bring myself to answer this question. I do not know how to answer this question. I was not raised Jehovah's Witness, but I did hear someone who declared themselves as a Seventh-day Adventist, and they're like, Joseph Bates believed that Michael, the archangel, was Jesus too. And so they had this whole philosophy, but they sowed the seeds of this philosophy that, it makes sense, right? The Lord God took on the form of an angel and chose the name Michael and tried to save all of the angels. But Satan and 1/3 of the angels, they rejected salvation. And so they got thrown at and cast out of heaven. 1/3 of the angels fell. They can no longer be saved. They have, they're giving everybody a chance to choose what side they want to be on, whether it be God's side or whatever. And so, like, you see this whole thing of, God, some version of a being that deserves worship. They took on the form of an angel to try to save the confused angels that were discovering negative, evil principles. And they tried to save the angels. And some of the angels, 1/3 of them, they rejected salvation. Okay. Then you have, that same one, the creator, the word that always existed or whatever, taking on the form of a human or the same species as me and you, and sacrificing himself on the cross to save all of humanity of their sins, and whoever sacrifices or accepts Jesus as their savior will be saved. Okay, so I said, I emailed somehow the other stuff that I worked on, and I did work on some other ones. I don't even know what I was proving, but I think I was just trying to prove that Abraham actually talked with the Lord, but it was like a foreign concept. And, if you're raised or taught Seventh-day Adventist doctrine and they don't really go over this, it's like, I don't know what you're trying to get me to do in this study, like, it's like out of the Seventh-day Adventist doctrinal system. So it made me get stuck. Okay, it felt like it had nothing to do with being a Seventh-day Adventist. Okay, so I couldn't bring myself to do the homework. I was like on a roll with doing all the other homework. We come to this question and I freeze up and I can't do it. And so they're like, you're gonna fail your second year at Souls West. because you're going to fail this class if you don't continue this. But there was like I thought there was like enough other work, and I don't even remember seeing my grade for this class. I think I ended up with a C in the class, and I was like, oh, well, whatever, But I was literally stumped on this frickin' question of like, did God come down after Noah and the fall and actually was a real legitimate friend to Abraham? Like, and I was like, maybe, And so, like, it sowed that seed of, like, yeah, the Lord came down from heaven and walked and talked with Abraham face to face with angels before Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed. I pondered this years later, but I didn't continue the homework. So I think at one point I was like, yeah, I legitimately was like, yeah, I'm going to finish these questions after I graduate at some point and finish the study, but I never did. Probably because some of the questions switched to Jehovah's Witness religion questions. I don't know. I don't have that piece of paper, or it may be somewhere in my stuff somewhere, but I don't know where it is right now. So, I legitimately was like, my true heart was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I want to finish this. And maybe a part of me really did, but then another part of me that's trying to keep me safe from worse false religions or something is like, no, don't do it. There's something really bad in there. There's something really dark. So that's one of the Bibles I have not gotten yet, is the Jehovah's Witness religious Bible. So it could be really, really different. But yeah, that's one thing I remember telling a teacher, I'm going to do this. Okay. Then another teacher in college, now that we're talking about things of like, did you ever tell someone you would do something and then you didn't do it? Okay. So initially this one teacher, she declared herself as an English teacher in college at a college university. And, I think I took the class because I was like, maybe there's something wrong with the way I've been educated and I need to go over grammar and stuff, like the root words before the word, the middle part of the word, and the end root words. And maybe this teacher will help me re-educate me, and I'll get better at grammar, I'll get better at communication, I'll get better at writing. And so she declares herself as this excellent English professor and teacher, knows everything. And I'm going through the material, and then I come to grammar, okay, where there is a comma. So there's a comma and then there's a semicolon somewhere. I don't think we have a semicolon on this page as an example. Anyways, so a semicolon just has like a dot above it too. Okay? So she's saying I'm using too many commas. Okay? And then she doesn't actually teach how to use the semicolon. So it's like I freeze because something's wrong about the grammar. Like instinctively, I freeze, and then I can't continue doing any of the homework because someone is teaching some kind of principle wrong. So, like I said, I would do all of it, but then someone's teaching something wrong, or the actual stuff in the book is teaching grammatical principles wrong, and so I freeze up and I can't continue doing any of the homework. So it's like I'm going to continue to learn something else wrong. Okay? So at the end of the class, something happens where I forget that this was an important assignment that we had to do all the way through the class, and I stopped doing it for some reason. And then she didn't remind us during the process of the class to continue to do this homework. Because I forgot about it. Because it's like, it seemed like other people were skipping doing that homework, or I sensed other people were skipping doing that homework. So, at the end of the class, it's like, okay, you've passed. And then she reminds me at the end of the class, you stopped doing this homework. And she's like, I should make it so you fail this class because that was part of the commitment of taking this class. And I could fail you if I wanted to, but I'm going to let it slide. And she's like, I could tell that you weren't doing this homework. And it's like, I didn't know what to say. And I was like, well, if that person could tell I wasn't doing the homework, why didn't, now I'm thinking about why didn't they remind me to do the homework? Because I literally forgot to do it. Because she stopped mentioning it. She mentioned it maybe like a couple of times, it's like, if that's important homework to do, why aren't you going to remind your students to continue to do it through every class that that student is in, And so she's like, I could have failed you. I'm going to let it slide. And I'm like, lucky me. Because that would have been a waste of like $400 I had to spend on this class because these books were expensive. So it was like, oh my gosh. Maybe you shouldn't tell your teachers the truth because then they're going to make you feel like you did something horribly wrong, because it was like there was a lot to do in the class, like with all the other projects at one point. And then it was like, it seemed like with all the homework I had to do, I barely got everything done for the class to be able to pass the class or whatever. Anyways, I passed the class, and it was like, legitimately, it didn't help me relearn how to do anything properly. So it was like a waste of time. But the teacher made it seem like they were so excellent at English, and they knew everything about the English grammar and everything. And, they didn't even teach me how to pronounce the letters over again properly, because I literally thought that was what we were going to do, was like, okay, this is how you pronounce this letter. This is how you pronounce this letter. This is how you pronounce this letter. I thought we were going to like start at the beginning in college and learn how to speak the letters properly. And the teacher didn't do that, because I think there was something in the title that made me think this was a beginner's English class. Well, that's where you start, right? How do you pronounce all the letters in a distinct way? And she didn't do that. And that's what in this book didn't go over that. It's like they chose a completely different book for the class on a whim. And then they're like, we're going to fail you. Well, if you're not actually learning how to talk properly and actually learn proper grammar in a language or section of a language or accent variation or whatever is going on, well, that person wasn't a legitimate teacher. But I said I was going to do it. And then something happened. It was like, instinctively, it's like I knew they're teaching you the wrong grammar. Like, why can't you, if you haven't finished your sentence, to break up a longer sentence, how come you can't put tons of commas, to show that you're not done with your thought, right? Because that's how I naturally talk is, like, do you really put a period, at the end of every single short sentence? The bike was blue. The bike had black and blue stripes, but it seemed like it was mostly blue. Like, why wouldn't you just put like a bunch of commas there? The bike looked mostly blue, but there were other colors that it had too. It was mostly blue with black, white, and gray striping in its design for a bike. I don't know. It's probably a poor example. But, because you're doing a lot of descriptive words, but then there's a sentence. So if you have, like, okay, how do you break up a sentence where there's a bunch of descriptive words and then there's other thoughts you're adding to the sentence too? Well, then you need the commas, right? For the descriptive words, and then the semicolon for, like, here's the other sentence. But they were using commas as, like, okay, here's this thought, and then here's another thought. Okay, why can't you use a semicolon instead? And then the comma is just like, it was blue, black, white, and gray, So the bike or whatever. So anyways, that is another illustration of, like, yeah, I legitimately said to my English teacher, I'm going to finish this homework and do it. But it's like something came up where it's like, the comma thing, the semicolon thing, like, threw me off. And it's like, something's not right with this grammar. It's like completely wrong. Something's wrong with the language. How come there's too many letters or sounds that so there's like 3 different ways to spell there. There is there, THEIR, which is like describing something you own or whatever. Then or it's yours or something like that. Then there's they are, there for short. And then there's there, THERE, where over there is the tree or whatever. And so it's like, why are there 3 different spellings for the pronunciation of there? Okay. And so there's other words like that, like, it's like, and it's like so confusing, like so many different spellings, this, that, the other thing. But I mean, it kind of helps you tell the difference of what you're talking about, sort of, but it's like very confusing and it's hard to keep everything straight. And it's like people in elementary school, they're like, we want you to memorize the wrong spellings with the wrong definitions and the wrong pronunciation of the word and everything. And you're just like, so I've come to the conclusion, I think I really live in Babylon or Babylon, where everyone's worse than a baby that is learning how to talk. Everyone's worse than a baby that's learning how to crawl, because no one actually wants to learn how to talk properly. No one wants to have the right definitions of the words and the right sounds of all the letters and all the right sounds of all the letters combined that make up words. So, I live in Babylon or Babylon. So that's what's coming up. And then people give you homework, and the homework may not go with the denomination. If you're studying religious stuff, the legitimate grammar book that they give you, it may not actually teach you about how to pronounce anything properly, or actually give you the proper grammar for a language, because someone's like, I'm just gonna make something up, and like, I think what I made up is so much better than legitimately how the language is supposed to work. So it's like, I'm in Babylon, everyone babbles all the time and they don't care about communication, So that's where I am. And it's like, and then I get in trouble when these babbling people are like, you didn't do your babble homework properly. Well, if you're babbling and nothing is done the proper way, does it really matter? But you're gonna fail me and give me a hard time because I didn't do my babble homework properly. Great. Like, talk about unfair society. We want you to have a cursed language, a confounded language, and we're gonna give you a hard time if you don't do your babble cursed homework properly. Oh, I'm doing it properly, all right, because at least I can sort of communicate with maybe some people, maybe not everyone, but maybe everyone's secretly babbling all the time and they don't understand anything that I say at all. So it's like, babble, babble, babble. I should just go around and be like, babble, 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 goo, 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 gaga, goo, 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 and start like talking like a baby on purpose, right? Goo, 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 gaga, 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 goo, 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 goo. I don't know, whatever that, I don't know. What are those sounds? I have no idea if those sounds mean anything. Anyways, but I should start babbling, right? Babble, 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 babble. Babble, 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 babble. Babble, 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 babble. Baby, 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 baby. Maybe I should do that nonstop. Then they'd understand, oh yeah, she don't talk properly at all. Anyways, so for me, I think I try to do what other people told me to do. Another example is the people who claim to be my real genetic biological parents, while they were babbling, they probably said that because they've never acted like real, genuine, loving parents to me. So, but they're like, we want you to help us out in the garden. And, a part of me is like, yeah, I'll help you out in the garden. Legitimately, there's a part of me that really wanted to help out. But then when you go outside, the heat is so hot that my body's like, I literally physically do not have the capabilities of doing this. And then the garden, there's something going on where it's like a bunch of babblers probably cursed the garden not to grow and produce an awesome harvest of food. So it's like really a waste of time. And there were times when I helped out briefly in the garden in the past. And it's like it like they're like, oh, the tomatoes didn't come in, the cucumbers didn't grow, the peppers didn't grow. And so we planted a whole bunch of stuff and then nothing grew because a bunch of babblers cursed it not to grow. So you're like, why would I want to do all this hard work if you're just going to curse it not to grow and produce, food for the household, So it's like a waste of time. So people want me to do a bunch of things that are a waste of time because they want power and control while they're babbling. That's what's coming across. So, I'm fine helping out people if it can be genuine and efficient and done the right way, and if there's an easier way to do work and help people out, why can't I do it the easier way? So if you can speak blessings and cursings over someone, why can't there be some kind of like programming device where it's like, here's the blessing, push this button, and it makes all these chores get done super fast or at a reasonable pace, and you don't have to do it, Why can't I do chores that way if that technology exists? Why do I have to do manual labor for everything? Because literally the heat, it gets to me so much that it's like, I literally don't have the energy to do what you're asking me to do. and I have to maintain my health and do exercise. And then people want me to do everything by my lonesome self. And it's like you're not working together as a team. And then it's like they pick like the hottest season to garden in. Like if babblers chose the season to garden in, why didn't they choose spring? Why didn't they choose the autumn? Like, why'd they have to choose the hottest season of the year? You know? Like winter, they make the ground too hard to grow anything in the wintertime if it's possible for food to grow all year long in the winter too, in the snow or whatever. I just don't have the ability to do certain things because the weather's so freaking harsh all the time. And then even spring and autumn, it's like so cold that you can't enjoy the weather at a decent temperature to garden. And then the summer's too hot, the winter's too cold, and then spring and autumn tend to be too cold too. So where's that, perfect temperature climate for gardening? I don't have access to it. Maybe other people have access to it, but I don't. So it's not that I'm purposely like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to say, oh yeah, I'm going to do a whole bunch of things and never do it. Other people are like that way. But it's like, are they cursing themselves? Because the person who calls themselves my father, he's like always looking for some better job. And then he's like, oh yeah, someone else better than me got the position. Like they said I didn't have the qualifications or whatever. So is this person babbling? Well, if you're babbling and you can't communicate, that's probably why you didn't get the job, because you need to be able to talk and be able to communicate in the workplace properly. If you're not communicating at all, if you're not showing up to work at all, if you say you have a job and you really don't have a job, then that's probably why you didn't get the job, because you just want to pretend that you have a job and you're not actually going to work to fulfill the duties and the obligations that that job includes. So, if everyone's babbling, maybe people make it seem like they have a job and they don't actually have a job and they don't actually make any money. They just say they make tons of different money and they're not actually doing the math, because everyone's, babbling about this is this price and this is this price and this is this price and this is how much you get for a salary for your imaginary job, right? I don't know what's going on, but tons of people are giving me misinformation, so it's like they forgot to do the math to add up everything that they say is the cost of living for the basic poverty level. And so for me, I literally do not have the ability to live on my own right now because I don't make any money. Like, you can pay someone to cook a meal for you and clean up after you, but you don't get paid to do that yourself in your own home. Well, that doesn't seem fair. And there's a laundry service or whatever. You can pay other people to help clean your house, but then when you clean and do chores for yourself, you don't get paid. Well, then restaurants shouldn't exist. This job of helping other people clean their own house, it shouldn't exist. Because if I can't pay myself through the government somehow to do it for myself and do it for someone else too, why should we be paying other people for this job? Anyways, so there's a lot of inconsistencies. So I can't make ends meet. I am below the basic poverty level. because people don't do math. They forgot to do the math. They forgot to do the work. So they expect me to do the work, but then they're not willing to actually do the work themselves. So they just say they're a politician. They just say they're your senator. They just say they're the president. They actually don't do the work. Because I emailed President Trump. I emailed Governor Kathy of New York State. Did they do anything to help me? No, the governor of New York actually sent a bogus letter. Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you. We're going to make our community great together again, And then there was like, well, go to the welfare services and, apply for, governmental assistance. I'm having problems with the government, people in the governmental assistance. Governor, you don't seem to understand why I'm reaching out to you. So basically, all the government officials and the welfare assistance people, they're really not going to help me. And they didn't, finally my food stamps did go through, but they didn't put enough money that would cover the cost of food for the whole month. And it doesn't cover cleaning supplies. It doesn't cover the cost of laundry detergent. If you need toothpaste, if you need a new toothbrush, doesn't cover the cost of that. So it only covers food. So, and it doesn't cover the cost of food for every single day for 4 or 3 meals a day for the whole month. So, that's another example. Has anyone ever said they were going to do something for you and they haven't done it? Oh, yeah, the government. Yeah, if you get so poor, and you need basic financial assistance at the basic poverty level that covers shelter, food, water, clothes, other personal expenses of basic entertainment, here's personal expenses of like, if you have more energy while you're sick to try to do something fun, go see a movie, go to a restaurant, buy, if you need another computer, buy a computer, here's money for transportation through an Uber, we'll cover here's health insurance, here's all this basic stuff that you need to survive in life, and they're not willing to do that for me at all. So basically what I get from the government is, we don't care about you having money for at least 2 meals to 3 meals every day for the whole month for food. We're not going to cover all of the food. We're not going to cover the basic expenses of life. So you'll only have, food for so many days out of about 28 days a month or 30 days a month. You're not going to have food for the whole month. You're going to have to starve the rest of the month. So they say, hey, we have a minimum wage. It's a requirement. It's going to cover the basic expenses of life. But even minimum wage doesn't do that, So it's like they have these laws, they have these rules. They don't understand how to implement them. They're not for the well-being of every single citizen. And there's actually no proof that I actually live in the United States of America. So, an abbreviation on your driver's license of USA doesn't necessarily mean that it's a United States of America driver's license, because USA could stand for something else. So, yeah, that's my life in a nutshell. People expected me to do everything that I said I was going to do. And then other people around me said they would do certain things for me, and then they never did. And then you have the government saying, oh, yeah, we'll make sure if you're poor, you legitimately have basic stuff to be able to handle living in society. And they're like, no, we're not. We're going to make it so you starve. So it's like, okay, with Nazi Germany, it's like you saw the Jews or the Israelites get taken into a concentration camp and they were starving. Okay, so I'm starting to get like vibes of, I don't live in a concentration camp, but to be on the United States of America government assistance, they're pretty much doing what, Nazi Germany did with killing off the Jews. We're going to starve you to death or gas you or something, like they literally want me to starve. Because they're not going to cover the basic food expenses for the whole entire month, only part of the month. And then they expect you to go to food pantries. And then most of the food is rotten and you can't eat it. So, even the food pantries or the food banks of like, we're going to give you free food. People aren't doing what they're saying they're going to do. If you truly want to help someone, you're going to give them food that's edible and that doesn't expire in 2 days. You're going to give them food that is going to last a while, at least a week. And they're okay giving people rotten food. And it's like, no, I can't eat rotten food. I can't eat food that goes bad. I'm having health problems. I don't even have the energy to really pick out, here's the good in this and here's the bad food in this, Like, I don't know how, I don't really have the ability to do that. And they want you to do extra manual labor. So it's like, people are like, I love and care about you. Your community is going to help you. The government's going to help you. The church is going to help you. Well, no one helps me. So again, the government breaking their promises, the church, Christian people breaking their promises, the people who call themselves your family breaking their promises. They don't even want to help take care of you and make sure you have your needs met and make sure that they bless themselves to make sure all their needs are met. So they don't care about themselves and they don't care about you. They just want to complain and be negative and curse everything around them and babble. That's all they care about. All they care about is babbling because it's so much fun to babble and curse everything around you. That's the type of environment I'm in. I'm in Babylon. I'm in Babylon, where a bunch of adult babies don't act like adults, don't speak like adults. They don't communicate like adults. So thank you, God, for always doing what you say. Help me always keep my promises. Again, it's like it's one-sided, these words of wisdom. No, child, you're the only one that has to do your part and keep all your promises. No one else around you is responsible for keeping their promises. Probably, if they have that attitude, it's because they babble and they don't know what they were saying anyways. So they didn't think they made a promise. So yeah, if they don't understand what they're saying, if it somehow is communicated to you and you have a better understanding level than they do, and it comes across that they made a promise to you, they're not going to keep it because they were babbling without any understanding at all. So don't expect anyone to keep their promises to you if they babble without understanding. God delights in those who keep their promises. Proverbs 12:22. So let's see what the Living Bible says. Again, it's a paraphrase. Okay, 12:22. God delights in those who keep their promises and abhors those who don't. So God is not okay with those who don't. I'm not okay with those who don't keep their promises. I'm not okay with the government, whoever people say what governmental system we're under. I'm not okay with them not covering the basic poverty essentials of life in full. I'm not okay with employers not paying a legitimate wage to cover over the basic poverty expenses of life. Because when I was employed or even self-employed, no one paid me a legitimate wage to cover the basic poverty level expenses of life and above the poverty level expenses of life. So it's like people promised me when I was in elementary school, high school, if you go to college, if you go to trade school, you'll be able to live independently and it will provide for all of your basic needs of life at the very least. It didn't do that for me. So this is a broken promise by everyone in the community, everyone I ever encountered, everyone who claimed to be an adult, because they all babble. That's the truth. They probably all really babble and they don't understand how much money you actually need to survive. So I do not know how to get out of this toxic, negative environment. Okay? But here you go. This is telling a child. Not good for someone to break their promise. It's not good for you to break your promises. So, as if an adult that's wise, they're also going to bring out the point. It's not good for anyone else around you that is older than you to break their promises either, because it means in the end we can't trust you. So I can't trust the people who claim to be adults. I can't trust the people who claim to be government officials. I can't trust the police. I can't trust counselors. I can't trust the people who claim to be family. I can't trust the people who say they're Christian. I can't trust anyone around me because promises were broken. So I'm in Babylon. I'm in Babylon, whichever version of it you think is better. That's where I am. And I don't know how to come out of Babylon or Babylon, because I really think in order to come out of Babylon, you have to stop babbling. You have to learn how to talk properly. You have to learn how to pronounce every single letter in its own distinct sound, and every word with its own distinct sound. And you have to learn the proper definitions or meanings of the words that are 100% correct in order to come out of Babylon or Babylon. And since no one wants to teach me how to do anything correctly, they only want to teach me how to babble. They only want to communicate with me by babbling. Then I'm stuck in Babylon. I'm stuck in Babylon. So let's find the ladybugs. Are there ladybugs in the atom? Well, it doesn't look on. Oh, there's one. There's two. I don't see anything here. 3. Let's just double check. Did you find the ladybugs? 1, 2. 3, 4. Okay. I got 4 this time. How many ladybugs did you find? I hope you found this thing educational. So, again, what I'm getting out of this book, no, so far, this does not bring whole health to me, because if you're going to teach a child to keep their promises, well, then other people who are an adult that are older than you, they have to keep their promises too. And the government, the society, whatever system of government you have, they need to keep their promises too. You can't just have one person doing their best to keep their promises and everyone else doesn't keep their promises at all. So because there is this aspect of if you live in a community with other people, like y'all have to work together as a community, so everyone gets their needs met. And then, if I were able to live by myself and there was a way to be self-sufficient and independent where you can mingle with people in the community, but you're literally not a part of needing food, water, clothes, shelter, anything from the community, that's really the only way I could end up being independent, is separating from the community, not have to get any of my stuff from that community, be able to live completely independently by myself. So if so something has to happen, something needs to change, because the community does not want to provide for all of my basic needs of life. So and that's people who declared themselves as my family. That's the church, that's the government. All of them are like, no, we're not going to provide for the basic essentials of life. We don't care about you eating food. We don't believe you need food every day for the whole entire month. So, and they don't believe you need shelter. They don't believe you need clothes. They don't believe you need to replace a certain amount of stuff. So, if that's the way they're going to be, I'd rather live with servant robots, programmed robots that can come in and be like, we will help give you everything you need. Here is a list of what you need to do for yourself. Here is what we can do for you, something like that. And then we will help you eventually learn how to talk properly, all the proper distinct sounds to each letter. I really want to live with robots. That's really how bad it is, Living beings don't care about my needs, but you can program a robot to take care of your needs better than a living being who doesn't care at all. So I'd rather go off in society, live with robots, and do a bunch of fun activities by myself, and then maybe sometimes mingle with people in the community, because, hey, if robots are programmed to take care of you, well, they're going to be programmed probably to do a way better job than a living being that doesn't care about you at all, because they are focused on what they want to do. They're focused on their self, and they want to babble. They don't want to communicate at all. So if people don't want to communicate with you at all and love you at all, it's like, well, why are we mingling with each other? You want to babble as a grown adult. So go away from me and babble as a grown adult. Like, if you don't want to love me, if you don't value communication, then go away and leave me alone. But, because for some reason it's not translated properly, They keep coming back and they keep babbling and babbling and babbling, and they keep babbling about wrong morals. And here I am again. My first memory was of losing my memory, and for a long while I forgot I lost my memory. It was like a memory that I kept quiet, and it's like, you know what, these people aren't my real parents because they didn't want to teach me properly. They taught me to babble. A real loving parent isn't going to teach their kid who has memory loss to babble. But that's what these people did. But they were probably babbling when they declared themselves as my real genetic biological parents. And they don't understand that that's what they declared to me. Oh yeah, I'm your mommy. I'm your daddy. And they probably think they're saying, I'm an idiot. I'm a babbling idiot. Or I'm a smart babbling idiot. Who knows what they're saying to themselves? But they probably don't think they really declared themselves as my father, as my mother, as my mommy, or my daddy, or my mom or dad. So, who knows what they actually think? Who knows what they're actually trying to say? I don't know what they're trying to say at all. They don't communicate with me for real at all. And I sense, because I hear voices from a distance, I sense that a whole bunch of real evil, negative, toxic people, demons, or evil people, all they do is curse me, and then their excuse is, well, I didn't understand what I was saying because I was babbling, so I don't think I was cursing this individual at all. Like, that's their excuse. So I'm still getting hurt. And they don't care because they're like, I was speaking and I didn't understand what I was saying. So it's like part of what I'm learning is like, if you babble, you shouldn't babble about negative concepts. You should only babble about positive concepts. But they don't know what they're babbling about. So you can't stop the babblers from babbling because they're okay being an idiot or stupid or acting dumb because it's so much fun to them for some reason. So I don't know what to do to get out of this negative, toxic environment. Maybe the ones who always existed, if they really do exist, there'll be a probation of something comes to a close and eventually aid will come to me. There's voices of wisdom saying we're getting closer to some kind of aid coming to me. What that will be, I don't know. Maybe in these videos, if it ever does come, I'll show you what I got. Could be some kind of emergency survival kit, because that's probably what I'll need. But what's in this emergency survival kit, I do not know. I mean, voices of wisdom told me certain things, but it's like, well, I don't want to declare what's in the survival kit until the survival kit actually comes to me face to face. So could it come in the mail? Could it come up supernaturally? Could it just spontaneously be there? Could I spontaneously just find it? Well, I found a marker, a permanent marker, and I found a knife, and I found something else that I threw in the water. It was like some kind of clippers, So, you might find something. Like, will I truly find it or will it come to me? I don't know. I just hope it comes to me somehow, and when will it come to me somehow? I don't know. But right now I feel like a crazy lunatic, a crazy person, because it's like, like when people talk to me, it's like some of what they say actually makes sense. But then it's like, well, sometimes you talk to people and they're just like, I'm going to talk to you. Okay. And they talk to you and it seems like maybe they are babbling because they keep having the same conversation over and over and over. And then it's like they say they're going to do this. So for instance, okay, the people who claim to be my parents, whether they legitimately know that's what they're claiming to be or not, I don't know, because I can't read their inward thoughts. I don't know what they're actually thinking. But this morning, he was like, okay, I need to talk with your mother, and we're going to decide how much money you need to pay rent. And so in the past, literally, what happened? Okay, well, one time they're like talking to me and they're like, we're gonna have you pay rent and we want you to pay back rent for a whole year. And it would be around $10,000. Okay, you're gonna take half of my bank account money. Okay. I gave him a hard time because it was a lot of money and I thought that money would last me a lot longer. Okay. The next day, the person's like, decides, I want 2 years worth of rent and I no longer have $20,000 in my bank account. So they wanted over $20,000 in my bank account. But they're like, I still have to talk to your mother. Okay. So then your mother comes and she's like, okay, we're going to like just take 4 months of rent or maybe like 5 or 6 or something. Okay. So you're going to do that. Okay. Well, at one point, I was like, here's my cash savings. You have access to my bank account. If you want all my money, just take my money. Take what you want. Have it all. Okay? Because the person who claims to be my father dislocated the muscles in my upper right shoulder. And it caused pain physically in my body. And so it was, to me, demonstrated as domestic abuse, domestic violent abuse. And the government said, like, if you ever get, like, domestic abuse, we'll leave you, help take you out of that abusive situation, provide for your basic needs, give you shelter, give you clothes, give you food. I call 911 and they're like, no crime has been committed here. So there's that promise from the government. There's that promise from the police. If you're ever in trouble, you can call 911 and we will come to your aid and we will rescue you and we'll get you into a better, positive environment. And they literally did nothing. So it's a broken promise. So people are okay with me being abused. And then you call them out on it. And you're like, you're okay with me being abused. And they're like, no, we're not. And it's like, yes, you really are, because your actions and your behavior demonstrate it over and over again. You were okay with the abuse I went through on June 17th. And there's other people probably cursing me behind my back that cause physical pain in my body. So if they're okay with people cursing me, and it's not a legitimate, real blessing, yeah, these people are okay with me continuing to be stuck in this negative, toxic environment and continuing to get abused in different ways. Because no one's willing to do anything to get me out of this toxic, negative environment so far. So, a lot of broken promises. I'm a broken person, emotionally, religiously, because promises have been broken. What people said is not legit. It's not how things are actually working in society. So, I'm hurt. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm irritated. I'm annoyed. And I'm doing the best to try to make my life more positive. And it's like, someone's like, I don't care about you eating food that you need to sustain energy in your body. Like, that's everyone's attitude. I don't think you legitimately need to eat food. I don't think you legitimately need to wear clothes. Should I start walking down the road completely naked then? Because People don't care about, the need to wear clothes. So, I don't know how to get out of this toxic negative environment right now. Maybe aid will come to me eventually, but it's not going to be from anyone who babbles. I can tell you that, because their focus is babbling right now. So, and if that's their first love is babbling and not understanding what they're saying at all, then, the message that's going to keep coming across to me through anyone who babbles is they don't care about me at all. They don't love me at all. And they're okay with me being abused in different ways. So, people said abuse is wrong. You need love. You need to find like-minded people. Well, I can't, probably because everyone likes babbling and I don't. I can't find like-minded people because I can't communicate with anybody. I can't find like-minded people because in order to find like-minded people, you have to be able to learn how to talk properly, and no one wants to talk properly. So, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in Babylon. I'm stuck in Babylon. And I hope if you're in Babylon or in Babylon or stuck there for some reason, that one day you figure out how to get out of Babylon or Babylon. Because the religious Bibles tell us, come out of Babylon, come out of Babylon. And other things. Come out of her, my people. Yeah, that's what it is. Come out of her, my people. Come out of Babylon. Come out of Babylon, my people. So, who is the creator? Who are the creators? Who are the ones who always existed before time? Maybe they will get me out of Babylon or Babylon somehow at some time. I hope they exist, because it's kind of hard to not believe that some living being didn't exist before time created, because someone had to create all of this, right? And everyone, So I look forward to the truth, whatever the truth really is, even if it's hard, because maybe that hard truth will set me free. So proper words, proper definitions, proper sounds of all the letters that go in all the words. So part of me is venting. Part of me keeps going on and on and on and on and on, because I don't know how to get over what's happened to me, because I'm still stuck in Babylon or Babylon, whichever your preference of how you pronounce Babylon or Babylon. So again, sorry, my life is so negative, but if babblers are really speaking negative concepts over my real name, it's going to cause me to be in a toxic negative environment where I go through different abuses. And I have to accept the truth, because it is the truth that I'm living every day right now. And if people don't like it, well, it's like, well, do something to cause my environment to become more positive. If you don't like me talking about negative concepts, if you don't like me being negative, do something to change my environment so it becomes way, way, way more positive. But if you do nothing, you have no right to complain about me venting about the toxic negative environment that I'm really in, because this is what's really going on. So if people don't want to be the change, if people don't want to correct the wrong behavior, the wrong words that they speak, well, then I'm going to keep speaking about negative stuff, because negative stuff keeps happening to me. Negative stuff keeps happening to me. If I had tons of positive experience to share, I would share those. But I don't. I get a few seconds, I get a few moments where I may enjoy life a little bit, but it's because I did something. And the whole entire time, to get those few seconds, or there's those few moments where I was able to love myself, it was a fight to get there, because negative individuals were speaking curses over me, probably while they're babbling and they don't understand what they're saying at all. And so yesterday, someone came up to me and they stopped their car and they're like, "Are you okay?" Well, they were on their way somewhere. I didn't know how much time I had to talk to them. So I just said, "I'm on my way home." You know? I don't know what they saw. To me, I think they saw nothing. But I was like, "Why are you stopping? I've walked the block so many times. No one's ever stopped. You stop and you're like, 'Are you okay?'" And a part of me is confused and I didn't know how to answer, because legitimately people have told me to my face, like, "How are you doing? How are you?" And then you tell them how you're doing and they really don't want to know. So I automatically, I think subconsciously, assumed this person really didn't want to know how I was really doing, because we're strangers. And so I just said, "I'm on my way home. I'm walking." Because it seemed like they were going to, offer me to ride in their car. And I'm like, I'm really not that far away, So they're like, okay. And then they drove and then they turned really close to the house where I live. So it's like, "Why are you checking up on me? Yeah, you're a neighbor, but I don't know who you are. I've never seen you before today. And we're supposed to be neighbors?" So I wish my life was full of positivity and I could share about positive moments or the good stuff that I'm learning how to do correctly and speak correctly. But that's not where I am right now. I'm in a cursed, toxic, negative environment where I really live in Babylon or Babylon. And, the religion that I was given was like, come out of Babylon or Babylon. Well, I think you need the proper materials given to you or supplied to you somehow to be able to come out of Babylon or Babylon. You can't have the wrong materials. You can't have people who babble, teach you how to speak with certain words, because they don't know the correct pronunciations of the letters, apparently. So, something's got to change eventually. I just don't know when. But it talks about a time, probation and trials and persecution, tribulation coming to an end, and pain and suffering coming to end eventually. So maybe there is a truth to that in these false Bibles that have a lot of bad, wrong morals too. But there was probably some light, some truth put in there that you can hold on to some of the truths in these different versions of the Bibles that I have access to. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully the truth will be given to me, and there'll be some kind of comparison in the future where I can compare, hey, this is original material. Here's the original Bibles. Here's the ones you have. This was the truth and the ones you had. This wasn't truth. This was sort of truth. Yeah, who knows what I actually need or whatever. But that comparison I may need that comparison, because it's just like, I need to know the truth. I want the truth. It said the truth would set you free. So to me, the truth is speaking the distinct sounds of the letter, speaking the proper sounds of each word, having the proper definition of positive words, negative words, or positive concepts, negative concepts, having the full truth of that. And being able to understand and comprehend it, and have the truth of, this is what happened, this is why your environment was so negative, and here's the truth of how you really were able to get out of this negative, toxic environment eventually. So I hope I'm given all those answers. Right now, I don't have those answers. I look forward to the truth, because I do believe the truth, 100% truth will set me free. So my conclusion is, I'm in this toxic, negative, cursed environment, and people are probably babbling all around me, and I don't know how to communicate with them. I don't know how to tell them, hey, can you please stop? I've had enough. Because, maybe them communicating with me, that's in their hands. That's not in my hands. So, how are they communicating with me? Why are they interacting with me if they don't want to truly communicate with me? And why do they think it's so fun to babble? Because it's not fun for me at all. Because I'm just in a cursed, super toxic, negative environment, and I'm stuck. So, and again, I can't get over this. So I can go on and on and on and on and on, because I'm stuck. And I don't want to be stuck, because I was told the truth will set you free. And so I'm trying to find the truth, and I'm not ever given the truth. And so there is no real, distinct, concrete truth given to me that is beginning to truly set me free. And if there is some kind of truth that is setting me free, it doesn't look like it right now to me at all. So, Babylon, that's where I live. I don't really live in the United States of America. I live in Babylon or Babylon. Can you accept the truth? Whatever the truth really is. Until next time.